We're ready.
Alrighty. Calling all nerds. This is your Nerd Alert podcast, episode 4.
We're on episode 4 now.
Gosh, yeah, I was wondering which one we were on. I didn't remember if we were on 4 or 5.
Well, it was because we took that 1 week off.
True.
Which, honestly, for all of our listeners, we probably will take some weeks off in between during the holiday season, just to let everyone know that we probably won't have like a consistent episode.
Yes, it is October 17th right now, so in a month. Wow. In a month is Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
And then in about 2 months and a week is Christmas time and New Year's. Oh boy. Well, I am one of your hosts, Tyler Niederhuth, bringing to you live from the comfort of my apartment. I am joined with me today, as always, by Mad Max himself, Max Sandberg.
Happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving, and Merry Christmas in advance. We are so close to that Christmas music time. Get ready. It is coming. I am so excited.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So one thing I was telling Max before we started today was this podcast is becoming Nerd Alert podcast / Cyberpunk news podcast.
Yeah, we're basically just like Cyberpunk's biggest fans, I would say. I feel like like you said, every week in our title, Cyberpunk is somewhere.
Yes,
it's really,
somehow.
And honestly, I want to defend this here a little bit because honestly, it's really the only big game of note that we're both interested in the coming months.
Definitely,
because this year kind of sucks, and then once these new systems roll out next month, then we'll have some new games to talk about, I'm sure. But the thing is, we're probably just going to be talking about Cyberpunk until it's released, and then we're going to be talking about how we're liking Cyberpunk. After it releases, we're just going to be talking about how much we love it, and hopefully, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and so with that said, topics for the day. We got Cyberpunk, another Night City Wire episode that came out, which talked about new cars, talked about some new styles of how your characters can look, outfits and stuff.
So cool.
We got the PS5 UI reveal, as well as we'll talk about the Xbox UI, plus kind of like we've seen with their quick resume. We also have some other side topics kind of outside of the video game realm. Some more news about Disney. We talked about it last time. This is a little bit more of a brighter news, I would say. Not as negative as last time. There's an interesting thing involving Xbox and Twitch. New iPhone releases. And then we'll be going back into games we've played and the entertainment recommendations. But before then, as always, the question.
I keep forgetting about this.
I thought about this question.
Snap. Okay.
I was wanting to say, if you could describe a very memorable moment in gaming in the past 2 years, what was your most memorable moment since 2018?
Oh, man. That's actually pretty easy for me. There's been a lot of great games, especially in 2018. But one really comes to mind, and I want to throw out real quick. The points that we might hit on could be spoiler centered. Yeah. So for those of you listening to the podcast on YouTube, spoilers. Maybe like fast forward like 2 to 3 minutes, I don't know, but if you haven't played any of the games we're about to talk about and these moments that really impacted us, just wanted to alert you of that, so don't want to spoil it for you if you've never played it. And so for me, honestly, the most memorable experience I had in the last 2 years gaming was God of War. That game just kind of came out of nowhere. I knew it was going to be great after seeing like the reviews and seeing how it played and everything like that. But I've played through every single God of War. Never loved them because the stories were never fun. I just really love Greek mythology, and I was just like, why not? Why not? Why not get a chance to just go through and tear up all the gods and have your ultimate revenge? I like revenge stories, but I never loved Kratos as a character. I just always thought he only had one default, and that was mad.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
Oh, yeah, he was terrible. He was a terrible human being. And not really a human being, I guess.
Whatever he was.
Yeah, half mortal, whatever. Yeah. And so when this new God of War game was announced, I was like, oh, it's just going to be more of the same. And then it turned out to be my favorite game of 2018 when it came out. Like, this game was a masterpiece. Like I think other than The Last of Us before it, I'd never experienced a game that like made me cry, made me really care for the characters in the story. The way it was filmed, the way it was designed, there was just so much love and care put into it that it was like something unbelievable. I honestly believe it's the best PS4 game on the system. I mean, I love Last of Us 2, but God of War is still top for me.
100%.
And I think probably the most memorable moment from that game that I can think of, or really like two moments. I'm gonna splurge here if that's all right.
Yeah. Go for it.
My first impactful moment is when Kratos swims back to his house, or he takes a canoe back to his house and opens up the floorboard in their home. Whereas before, like, there were like moments at the very beginning of the game where like Kratos never lets the boy or his son like touch whatever's in there, and you're like, okay, what's down there?
Yeah.
And he pulls out the Olympian chain blades, and I immediately got chills.
This is the best moment of the game.
It was unbelievable because the whole game, or the first half of the game, you're playing with the axe,
which is weird. I feel like I was lumberjack Kratos the whole time.
Really, I loved it.
The weapon was great. I just felt like I was like, oh, I'm like a lumberjack. I didn't feel like I was old Kratos until I grabbed those weapons.
And exactly, when you grab the weapons and the music immediately changes to the old like choir from the old God of War games, and you're just like, you unwrap them and it's the chain blades, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I just, and then immediately you have to use them in battle, and they're used exactly like they were in the old games, just in a new point of view with like more like combo pressing and everything like that. And I was just, I literally leaped out of my seat. I was like, I can't believe they're giving me a whole new weapon to play with here. That was insane. And then my second favorite moment from that game is near the very end when you are going to the mountain. You're finally there, and Kratos unwinds his bandages and lets them slip away to kind of reveal his scars that the chains used to be fused to. Yeah, because the chain blades used to be fused to his arms. And so just seeing him unwind those bandages and kind of like, I don't know, like kind of realize that he's a different person now in some ways, like a kinder person, at least to his son. He's a man of multiple levels now, whereas he was not before, and it was such a beautiful thing. I love that he finally calls the boy Atreus. I know he like starts to do that throughout the game, but it's like really at that moment in the game where like he like really focuses on what he's saying to Atreus instead of just boy. Yeah. And yeah, I love that game. I feel like that whole game is full of impactful moments, like from start to finish. It's just beautifully made. Yeah, that would probably be my favorite gaming impactful experience within the last 2 years.
Yeah, God of War is definitely mine as well, as far as an impact of a game. But I guess another one that I could kind of talk about. I played.
Stole yours. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. I also did play Witcher 3 in the past couple of years for like the first time. Well, because Witcher 3 has been out for a few years. And I kind of tried it, but whenever I got like my PC fully built out, I like really played it like this year. But there also was another game. Man, it's a tough one. I just thought about another game.
Go for it, man. Splurge.
Okay. So I was gonna say Witcher for this reason, but I actually would probably take a step back and say Divinity Original Sin 2. Oof. So with Divinity Original Sin 2, it was the first game that I have ever like read everything, where I have explored everything, or at least to what I know I've explored everything. You know how in those games and RPGs, there's always like books, there's always hidden notes. Lore. It's just like random stuff literally everywhere. Divinity Original Sin 2 is the first game that I've actually seen these books and read them. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. And in this game, I just felt like in Divinity, it's not that I don't want to say like it didn't matter in like a bad way. It's just like
it mattered to you, and what
it wasn't game breaking, but you would discover some pretty cool things from books. Sometimes it would be how to like get somewhere secretive. Sometimes it was something just funny. Like you might read a guy's diary and he has like funny dialogue or something. And then like exploring. I think I've told you this before. When it came to Divinity, I think I've replayed it, I don't know, 4 or 5 different times. Different characters and classes and like team compositions.
Yeah.
And every single time I've replayed it, I've discovered something new. Not even joking. Like I just started another playthrough because I wanted to play an undead character recently. And the very first place, right after you get the tutorial, it's like Act 1, I discovered a whole new section of the map that I've never seen. And I think I logged like 130 hours into that game just recently. And I was like, wow, how did I seriously not... It just blows my mind that every single time I play this game, I find something new. And it's not that like in every playthrough I just brush upon and see what... I really do go in pretty good depth into what I'm doing. It's just the game does really well at... You pick your decisions, and it just puts you along this path. And like the way Divinity is you're a prisoner, and you're with other prisoners on this like island. And Act 1 is all about escaping the prison. There's like a collar on you that's restricting you from doing your source magic, and your goal is to like get the collar off, leave the island.
Yeah,
that's like the goal. And I think I've discovered like 3 or 4 different ways that you can do that, and I don't even know how many there really are. Like the playthrough I'm doing now, I'm trying to do it a different way. I crazy, like how much like thought was put into it, and then like writers to be able to. I know like everything is voiced. Yeah. Like if it's not a character voice, there's a narrator that voices everything, minus like text that you read from a book. But if it's any type of dialogue, it's always like a narrator voice saying, like you stepped into the marsh, and then afterwards you find that you're getting a little stuck, and then because it's like Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Right.
And so everything is like voiced. Everything has some form, or there's a reason for everything, and I don't know. It's just, it was a game that made me discover Larian Studios, and that's why I'm excited for Baldur's Gate 3 because I think they're going to do a good job. And I would say that was definitely a massive impact on me because I knew I liked turn-based games. I've always known that. But when I played this one, I was like, wow, this is like a whole different level of turn-based. Because it's not your typical old school like Final Fantasy turn-based or like a Pokemon thing. Like,
right.
You got your action points and stuff, but there's all this like terrain manipulation. You can teleport people, put them in other situations. You can see it like just had a cool twist on the whole turn-based combat, and it just makes it really fun. It's just a good game. The studio's nuts. I don't know how they do it.
That's awesome, man.
To me, they're like the CD Projekt Red, I guess, too. Like I always compare these two companies because I play games like Witcher. And I play games like Divinity. I'm like, how do you guys just fill the world with lore? That's so crazy to me.
Dude, it's such an achievement. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, Divinity Original Sin, is that what it's called? Too. Like, I've never played these games, but like I know of them. And like I know that like on multiple sites and review, like huge people that review games, it's like lauded as like one of the greatest, like, or if not the greatest, like turn-based RPG ever made. Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, it's pretty big achievements for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I hope it helps keep them alive, turn-based, because I've always had this fear that they're just going to die off. And I'm glad that companies are trying to revamp them and stuff. Because like you have a lot of games like God of War, adventure, first or third or first person adventure games, a lot of cool action and stuff. And even with those games for a while, it's like, oh, how much different can you get? And like you see God of War, and it has like a different leveling system, and you have some like runes and stuff you can place on it. Kratos had like armor variations, which was cool, and it's good to see that people are still trying to do things to make sure that like certain playstyles don't die. And I've always felt like turn-based has always been on that bottom of the barrel, and so really I just man. It gives me hope when I see someone like Larian or somebody just try to like do something to make it not seem so boring. So that's cool. It was a big one, big impact, but
nice.
Yeah, so we kind of touched about CD Projekt Red, so might as well just jump into the Cyberpunk news.
Cyberpunk.
They're on that was episode 4 as well, I think, of Night City Wire.
Yeah, Night City Wire episode 4 aired this last Thursday.
Episode 4, podcast number 4.
It's just
maybe CD Projekt Red should just sponsor.
And they're right. Sponsor us, CD Projekt Red. No.
Please give me the game early.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Yeah, this was Nightwire I was really excited about. You know, with Nightwire 3, I honestly didn't know what to expect from it. With this one, when they said that they were going to talk about vehicles, that got me really excited.
Yeah, me too.
And they didn't disappoint. I mean,
no.
we watched this thing, and they're showing off all the different vehicle types. They're saying, you know, you have economy class, executive class, there's sports cars, a secret and you
can see the same car in different classes too.
Yeah, and it
depends
just
on like how good it is and how bad it is and fast. And,
and it's so cool because they did confirm that you can race in the game.
Yeah, that's right.
There's races, and whenever you're driving, you can drive either in first person or in third person.
Thank goodness.
Yes, because for me, like I want to be in third person when I drive. I won't lie, like the dashes for all these cars look so great and so intricate that like I'm sure I'll go into first person just to like look at the car itself. Yeah. And like really appreciate the one I have. But when I'm driving, like being in first person, one, it'll make me motion sick, and two, like I just want to be able to see the entirety of the world around me so I don't get like side swiped or something. Yeah. I know like first person is very much to like immerse yourself into the character, into what you're doing, but I don't know. I know for me personally that I would really like that.
Yeah, and I feel like, so we touched about this before we started, but you and I were saying how we don't mind third-person games versus first-person games. Like, for me, it's like, well, if I'm playing a character that's already voiced and kind of has like a persona, the person's name is V, like when I don't feel like it's 100% me, I prefer third person. Just give me third person.
Yeah, I want to see my character.
guy. See the character is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because I tried playing third person like Fallout and Skyrim, and they're so janky that it just kind of stinks. But then like I play Witcher, and I love seeing Geralt just like evolve and have different looks. And I feel like that's the whole point of Cyberpunk. You're supposed to look different. You're supposed to, like, your character evolves, really. And
yeah. I wonder if they are going to like involve something within the game that will allow you to see yourself a lot. Because you see, I don't know, like you see in a lot of cutscenes, or at least some of the scenes that they've shown us, that you can see yourself in mirrors. Yeah. That you can see yourself on bikes. Reflections of yourself. And so I'm wondering if like, are there going to be a lot of moments like that? Like maybe like any building or any like that you pass, you can like look in there and see your reflection. I don't know. Yeah. I am very interested to see how, when the game comes out for like early review and preview, how people talk on that, to see like, did you feel like you could have ownership of how your character looked? Because just a quick side note to the cars, they also in this Nightwire talked on the different like social classes and like the kind of designs of fashion you would wear. Yeah. Or you could wear.
There was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, there were 4. There was like, the first one was, I forget what it was called, but it was like basically you get like the augmentations where like they were even like showing like how these different like ways of living evolved over the years, and like how like in style the very first one was that people were just starting to in quiche, I think it was called, or maybe it was
quiche, entropism,
neo-militarism, and neo-quiche. Yeah, so quiche was like the one where it's just that like looks mean everything. You know, you're looking at just all the shiny chrome stuff, you know, like you just look like a robot. Whereas the entropism, no one cared what they looked like. I felt like
it was post-war. They said something like that.
Yeah, right? It was like post-war in the 2030s or something like that.
And they were just trying to get by and live, and they didn't care. It was throwing whatever you had and just go for it.
Yeah, and it was funny that you mentioned that, because in entropism, those characters or the NPCs that they showed looked the least like modified in terms of like cybernetics. You know what I mean? Like they look like real people, just like kind of like crummy looking people. You know?
Yeah,
but
more slum and stuff.
Yeah, but it was cool in that way. And then of course you have neo-militarism, which is like the super like elite look, like the high class like suits and ties and a lot of augmentations of the face and the hair,
kind of looking.
Yeah, very like cutthroat, almost like very like business centered.
Yeah,
and then of course neo quiche, which is like for the celebrities. Like you just kind of take the looks,
quiche look. Modern.
Yeah, basically up it by like 100%. You just have like pink hair and like flamboyant like outfits, wearing like leopard skins and everything, and it looks really great.
So I definitely hope we can see more of who we are, and it is good that we can see the cars, because they talked about how CD Projekt Red recorded over 40 different vehicles.
Oh my gosh.
To get sounds. They had sound engineers, they had actual like car manufacturers, like mechanics and stuff, to be able to help know where to place microphones to capture like really raw sounds of vehicles. And then according to, I guess, like one of those like fandom wiki articles that we have, is looking to be like there's about 12 kind of like original cars, and then they have like 2 real worlds, which the one of them is the Porsche 911 that I always forget his name.
Johnny Silverhand.
That he'll have. So that's like an actual Porsche in it. I don't know what the second real car is though. I don't remember which that one was. But the 12 Cyberpunk originals are still based off of like kind of real cars. You know, like you'll still see some like modern look to it. They just like made it fit their world.
Yeah.
When they say 12 Cyberpunk originals, they added on weird doors and all that kind of stuff. Whereas there are 2 like true to the actual car. So like the 911 that he has is a legit 911. There's no modifications to make it cyberpunky.
1977.
Yeah, which is an amazing year for those things. But so it's cool to see that they put all the time in to get the sounds right.
Yep.
They put all the time in to get the looks right, and then they made sure that they got the right people to make it done well. And so I just feel like we always kind of talk about the visuals, and every time we talk about Cyberpunk, so it's like just give me the opportunity to really see the visuals. I think that's why I want third person, and maybe it'll come in an update one day down the road.
You never know. I agree. That'd be so cool if we could get third person, and there's a part of me that still hopes beyond hope that I can somehow find a challenger in this world so that I can make a Mad Max car, but I don't know if that's going to be possible.
That would be very dope.
Maybe as like a DLC or something that I would totally pay for to get the Mad Max Challenger for in Cyberpunk, but I don't know if it's going to happen. And then you had mentioned to me that they actually showed in the Nightwire video. I must have missed it. I had a question last week where I was wondering where we're going to be allowed to drive in this game, because I was like, it seems like there's a lot of like high speed action, a lot of like shooting. The city itself seems super dense, and I was just like, I'm not even sure if there's even areas that you're allowed to drive in. Right. And in the video, it's showing that a car literally going upstairs, like vertically, into another area of the market or wherever you're at in the town of Night City, and you're just like running over people, like cold blood, like just like. And I was like, holy smokes! Okay, so
you can go anywhere.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna be able to go anywhere, which is so freaking cool and so unbelievable to me, because it's like. Yeah, like I can't wait to see how I can travel around this game.
I'm pretty sure. So the car they show off that does that is... Let me see what they say the name of it. I think I saw it somewhere. It's like a little... Oh, they call it the Thorton. It's based off of like a Dodge Omni car kind of a thing. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry. Take that back. It's based off of the 1976 Sebring Vanguard city car. It looks like a buggy, I would say, right? And so my guess is they made this car specifically so you could go to any place.
So like you're saying like the economy cars are the ones that are able to kind of...
Maybe. I'm more just saying like if you look at this video, it's around the 2:10 mark for anybody who wants to look on the like official Night City Wire episode 4.
Right.
If you see the car coming up, imagine other cars trying to get up here. I don't think they would really fit all that well. Like, you see the tight spaces and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I almost think they made this car specifically
to get you into
to be able to get you into the different areas. So maybe, like,
interesting.
You can go everywhere, but maybe not everywhere with every vehicle. Now, like, a motorcycle could get up here, and, like, the little car.
Right.
And so maybe that's their idea, though. Like, maybe the type of car that you have could actually get you to different places. Because there was a part, and this is all just obviously crazy theorizing. Right. There is a part where whoever the narrator is of the vehicle, trailer stuff, says different vehicles will get you to different places that you haven't seen before. And I was wondering, like, maybe they're just saying that just as like a fun thing. Because, like, oh, these are faster and they look cooler, and I don't know. Or maybe it really is like some vehicles can access certain places others don't. Maybe there's like blocked off zones where they say like your car isn't fancy enough to get by here,
right?
You know,
or
like
you don't have the proper like car identification, or
whatever. Something like that. So it'd be curious to see how they play on with this.
Yeah, I'll be interested too. There's a part of me that hopes like in other kind of car centered games in terms of transportation, it'd be so cool if you could like keep your own personal garage and just collect all the different cars.
Yeah. I know Grand Theft Auto has that, and I love that. You can just like store all these cars.
Yeah, and then you could like you have like a phone or some kind of thing like within your cyborg tech on your person that you can be like, bring this car to me, like and
they do spawn. The cars do spawn because they asked about it, and they said they spawn similar to how you call roach.
Okay.
So it'll spawn where you don't see, but then as you turn around, it'll be there. Though they said they're having some glitches because apparently it spawns on top of houses and stuff.
Probably what some of the crunch is going to be towards. I hope we can collect them all because it'd be so cool to have every single vehicle in this game. I'm interested, though. I don't know if I missed it at some point down the line. I don't know if you know. Do we know if there's any kind of currency in this game? Or I would assume there has to be.
Yes. So they did talk about whoever the announcer lady is. I always forget her name. I wonder if it shows on here. The girl who leads, I don't remember her name, but the girl who leads the Night City Wire was like talking to like, I guess the head guy of kind of this car stuff. Mm-hmm. And he says that like you can get a call from your body shop guy saying that he has a car and if you want to buy it.
Gotcha.
So they say you can buy some of these fancy cars. And so, yeah, there is some type of monetary thing. Because also, like, as a mercenary, a lot of whoever's like V's partner, the big guy that they usually show in these, he always talks about getting the reward is always like money. And that's like what they're doing. So there should be a currency, I would assume.
Yeah, that makes sense then. No, that's exciting, though. I'm excited to make a lot of money.
What I'm curious about is, so we also saw that you can steal cars.
Yep.
Similar like those Grand Theft Auto games or like the Watchdog games, you can, I don't know, press Y and then your guy opens the car, punches the dude in the face and takes the car.
Throws him out of the car, yeah.
I'm curious if you can take, like let's say, let's just say Challenger because you just mentioned that. Let's say the Challenger car is in the game and you find it on the economic level where maybe the engine's really crappy, it's all bodied out and just kind of looks like crap. I wonder if you can tune it and upgrade it to get to the high class. They didn't mention that too much because they said you can see the same car in different quote-unquote classes because sometimes the car might be in really bad condition, but it might be in pristine condition. I wonder if you can go both ways. Like, can you take a fancy car but like wreck the heck out of that thing to where it becomes a bad one? Or can you take a bad one and if you invest money into it, get to the upgrade? Executive. Yeah, like if you don't have the money right away to buy an executive car, can it just take you time and less money to upgrade an economic car to that? They didn't touch upon that, so I'm curious to see if there'll be anything like that, which would be cool.
That would be really cool. I have no idea. I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think I could see that being a fun playthrough for like people. Mm-hmm. Like, I could totally see because I know we've talked about the places that we want to start. You were wanting to start as the Nomad. I was wanting to start in the
Street Kid.
The Street Kid, and I thought it'd be really cool if I played a character who started as a Street Kid one. I had a crappy car, but I never got rid of it, and I always upgraded it. And then maybe towards the end of the game, this car is super fancy, but it's still the first car that I had from the start of the game. It's just like doing missions and collecting money. I've just put so much money into it and so much time that it is like a super car at the end. I don't know. I just think it'd be a fun
that would be
storyline, you know?
I feel like they would have mentioned that, but who knows? I mean, that would still be really cool if they did that, because I agree. That would be so awesome to like keep your main car be the car you started with at the very beginning.
Well, especially with your Mad Max desire. Like, I think that'd be cool for you if you found that car and you were just like, why am I going to get rid of this? Like, this is my car. Like, you just like soup it up. And...
I hope so, man. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. And there is motorcycles too, for those who are motorcycle fans. There's a few of them. I don't know if there's going to be a ton, but obviously Keanu Reeves is a huge motorcycle buff. Yep. He's got some motorcycle company thing that he's got working with that CD Projekt Red obviously teamed up with. And so they do have a few motorcycles, what is your opinion on motorcycles in games?
I honestly love them a lot. I any kind of like third party or third person sandbox game like this, like one that comes to mind is Sleeping Dogs.
Okay.
Which is basically like I know we always compare all these to Grand Theft Auto because they basically are just rip-offs of Grand Theft Auto in some ways. But it takes place in China, in Hong Kong, and I would just literally drive motorcycles around because I love playing my character while riding a motorcycle because you get to see him. For some reason, I just feel like the handling and the maneuverability of a motorcycle is usually easier to handle. Yeah. So I'm excited that motorcycles are in the game, and I feel like those will probably be my go-tos for any short journeys. Yeah. For anything that's like out in the wastelands, I'm definitely going to be using a car. But for like off-roading and stuff like that. But
they showed some videos of some motorcycles off-road. That'd be rough. I feel like the handling would be so bad on that thing. It'd be so tough.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. They may have some cool designs for the motorcycles to handle the desert and the dunes, but who knows? I guess
it just feels more right to be in a car, I guess. But I love motorcycles too. It'll be cool that you can have some. I could see myself definitely having like a go-to car and a go-to motorcycle, and just kind of having those two. Like I'll try to do the same of like see if I can collect all the vehicles.
Right.
But I'll more than likely just have like my main two. But it'll be cool. You know, I would like to see if they also have some type of like house that you like live in. And I don't know if have you ever played GTA Online. Have you ever done any of that stuff?
No, not really. It's never really like grabbed me. Yeah. But I'm just normally not a GTA person.
For sure. They I think they had it. I was playing it online with my friends, and they have this cool feature where you can like buy a hotel and you get like a room and stuff, and you buy like a place that has kind of like Tony Stark's garage where it's like double decker and it's got like a bunch of windows, and all the cars you own are there, and you can walk around the garage, and like if you want to pick a car to jump into, you just walk up to it and like you open the car door with some button and then you press get in, and then it loads you like outside of the garage door. But it gives you like a visual, like you see all your cars, not just like a menu list.
Right.
It would be kind of cool if they had something like that, or like imagine you had like a home inside of one of the massive buildings in the Night City, and you could freely walk around. Maybe not like massive, but you could see a garage, like you could see all your cars and like walk up to one and be like, get in, and then start driving.
I could be totally wrong, but at least with the narrative that they've shown us in the game, it looks like we could be potentially working for Johnny Silverhand. Mm-hmm. And so I imagine like he has some kind of big garage that maybe your like home base, and like that idea could come to place in that sense, but I guess we'll see. But I love that.
It was a cool feature.
I would rather have that than a quick menu.
Yeah, and honestly, Grand Theft Auto Online of all games, I would not have thought it had that feature. Because I definitely wasn't into that game, but when I saw that, I was like, yo, that's dope. Yeah, that's a cool little feature.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And they would thrive off that, dude. Cyberpunk would do great if they had something like that.
Yeah, they would. Oh my gosh. I feel like I would spend the most time of the game in the garage just looking at the cars.
For sure. Especially if you could just like, if it was in a shop too, and you could like, because they've shown some photos of like his Porsche inside of a garage,
right? Which
would be interesting. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But the cars look dope. I like them.
I love them. Yeah, it was such a cool reveal. But speaking of reveals, I'm doing a cool little segue here.
I like it.
It wasn't that great, but thank you. Wanted to bring up our second topic, which is PlayStation 5's UI reveal. And also like a quick touch on Xbox's UI and their quick resume. Yeah. We're just doing a quick touch on theirs just because honestly, I'm not an Xbox guy, but Tyler was telling me that the UI for the new Series X does not look that different from what they currently use.
Yeah, they've already used like cards and stuff.
Yeah, but it is very interesting how PlayStation kind of revealed their UI this last week. And it was initially spoken on way back when, I would say even before the beginning of this year, that PlayStation had actually teamed up with Microsoft in regards to updating their current UI. Because for those of you that have PlayStations out there, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, what have you, the user interface is not great.
So bad.
It's terrible.
It has been my biggest complaint.
Yeah, it is so slow. It seems very outdated. Yeah. The fact that the store to buy games is on a separate app from the actual system is unbelievable.
I don't understand. I'm trying to spend money and I can't because the stupid PlayStation Store won't load.
And so PlayStation revealed their new UI, and honestly, it looks really good. At first, I was kind of worried because it seemed a little busy, but the more I saw of it, the more it got me excited because it kind of brought me to the same conclusion that we spoke on last week, which is like this new console generation, one of the main things it really needs to shoot for is convenience, is making everything as few button presses as possible. Mm-hmm. And so with the PlayStation 5, we actually, they had a video of this, but you can find all this information on their PlayStation blog as well online, is they were kind of showing off the system, the UI for quick resume, as well as when you boot up the system for the first time. Yeah. And the quick resume menu for PlayStation is so cool because you turn on your system. It's this cool little like...
They call it activities. That's what they call it.
And like basically you get these like shiny like lights on the background. It looks really pretty. Mm-hmm. And then you select your profile. And once you select your profile, you're immediately brought into the quick menu activity screen. Mm-hmm. And you can see your game where you previously were at when you like paused it before you turned off the system in the background. So like it's already on your full screen ready to go. But you start on that activity screen and you can see on this screen what percentage of the game you've completed. Like you can see immediately how far into the game you are. Specific sections of the game in which you are and how long it may take you to beat it. Mm-hmm. That specific section. How many trophies you've gotten on that game, and all these things are shown on these cards in the bottom part of the screen, and it's so cool to just have all that information immediately available to you.
Yeah. Especially the trophy one.
Yes.
Because they're taking finally the new approach where it's trophy progression.
Yes.
So if you have like, let's say you're trying to find 10 map pieces as a trophy, it's no longer just collect 10 map pieces. It'll say you've collected 7 out of the 10. And it's finally showing like percentages of how much are you along the way to getting that trophy, which is great.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see how these trophy lists kind of interact with later PS5 games, because that like with their launch games they built the UI pretty in tandem with those games. Mm-hmm. So like in the example that PlayStation showed us with their UI experience, it was for Sackboy game or something like that, and so the UI was very like familiar with that game, and it was like, oh, like here's some cards that show you how how to beat this specific level that you're on in Sackboy. And so it just makes me wonder, like, for the third-party games and stuff like that, how is that going to work? Because it seems like it's a very different setup than what Xbox has. So it's like, is that going to take additional time and energy to kind of build that out for these other games? But I thought it was really cool, you know, even when you decide to leave the activity screen and you're immediately back into the game, you can still at any point in time pull up that activity screen. It kind of like pops up from the bottom of the screen while you're playing, and you can put on videos or video guides of how to get through a section of the game. You can share your screen. You can play with friends. You can do chats, all while still playing at the same time with these overlays. And it's so cool that Sony's finally gotten down this more, it seems very PC in a lot of ways, or very like how Xbox did it for their previous generation. And it's kind of cool to see PlayStation finally come to modern day when it comes to UI, because they were very much behind.
The UX stuff was always, so like, I guess for, I don't know, I feel like most people know, but like, so UI stands for user interface, and then UX stands for user experience.
Yep.
And like both have always lacked, and at least Max and I's opinion, on PlayStation. Like experience wise, I feel like you jump through hoops.
Yes.
Even in the settings menu.
Yeah.
Dude, just to like change one little thing, and I was trying to change my profile image on PlayStation. I feel like I went through like 7 different menu options.
Yep.
I was like, dude, why is this so messed up? Like, why is it so... I had to Google how to get to it because it wasn't that clear to me of how to do it.
Yeah.
And
so, it is not aged well either.
No.
Like,
no way.
Especially like whenever I turn it on and I'm like, it's 2020. Like, this menu is unacceptable at this point. Like, I was like, we gotta do better, and it looks like they will. Hopefully.
Yeah. I noticed one thing. So on the blog post, if you kind of scroll towards the bottom, whoa, someone just talked to me on my computer. That was weird.
Whoa.
If you scroll towards the bottom, you'll kind of see like the home menu. It looks like it has a similar look to how it is now. It's like a few cards that has like a store card, and you have like recent games and probably some other stuff that I don't really care about. I like that they've separated the space to where I've noticed like when you do it now, you like hover over a game, it like shows you all this other information below it. And I don't really know if I ever care about all that information. It just kind of like clouds it a lot.
Yeah, it does.
And
it
so,
takes forever to load sometimes.
Yes, it takes so long to load. And I'm hoping they don't have that same thing in here. But one I was mentioning to Max was I do love PlayStation's folder structure that you can do. You can create folders on your home menu and like store apps inside of them. So like some of these apps that I don't care about, maybe like the PS Now one, the Share ones, stuff that I just like, no, I won't use. It would be nice to either remove them or hide them.
Put them in a miscellaneous folder.
Put them in a miscellaneous folder so they're not just like clouding up the main screen. I think that'd be the old... Out of the current UI, UX, that's the only thing I want, is to be able to still do folders. Yeah. Because it's just they need to be revamped. But it looks like they're trying to, which is good.
Yeah, overall, I think the UI looks... The reveal was very exciting. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited to get my hands on a PlayStation 5. I honestly don't think I'm going to be getting one until early next year. I definitely plan to get one in either January or February, but... Yeah. Right now, like, I was just like, I don't even want to deal with the pre-order debacles and stuff like that to get the digital copy, because the digital version is completely sold out, and that's the one I want. Same. It's like I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't buy games on disc anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'd rather just spend like $200. What is it? No, not $200. $100 less dollars. Yeah,
same here.
But
yeah, $400 for that console is great.
Yeah, that's a super low price. That's less than I paid for my PlayStation 4.
Yeah, which that was I guess I haven't talked about this too much on the podcast. I've been very like teetering. Do I want to get the Xbox? Do I want to get the PlayStation? I love Game Pass a lot, so I was like, well, it'd be nice to have the Xbox because not all games on Game Pass are on PC version.
Right.
Some of them are on the Xbox console itself, which isn't too big of a deal.
Honestly, PC doesn't have a very large library of Game Pass games.
No, yeah, it does not. It's more of like a lot of the newer ones get on there pretty good and stuff. Yeah. The console does have a lot of older ones that are kind of nice, like the Fable series and stuff like that. But so I've been teetering a lot, and when I saw this UI and kind of like how they're trying to treat it and revamp it, it's definitely got me wanting to do the PlayStation a lot more. I myself, like Max, I'm kind of looking towards the January, February. I mean, I'll still obviously be looking because it comes out in November in less than a month.
Yep.
And so that's when it comes out in stores, technically. And, I mean, it'll be holiday season, so there's probably going to be crazy if they'll even be in stock. But, you know, I won't lie. If I see a PS5 and I see that it's in stock for some, you know, between now and, like, January, I might try to see, do I have $400 to spend on it? Maybe I will just go ahead and get it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see, but I'm just happy they're wanting to make changes.
Yeah, I am too. I'm hoping it's leading them down the course to like have a nice UI and UX experience along with their games.
Though they did mention something weird. It was like oh gosh, where did they talk about it? I know Angry Joe talked about it, but he tweets a lot, so I don't know if I can find it. But there was something that Sony announced they had. It's like a new feature for like admins or something like that. It's very odd.
Oh, where it can record your online play?
Yeah, no. It was like gosh, when did he talk about this? A lot of this stuff is like political. But he talked about, here it is. Sony moderators. So this is an article from IGN.
To record
Sony says it's not actively listening into chats with the new PS5 recording feature. So let's see. PlayStation 5 users will be able to record voice chats and send them to moderators. And it's like, what's a Sony moderator?
I guess it's someone who can take the voice chats and make sure nothing wrong is happening is said.
Dude, that would be a boring job.
It could be a boring job, but it could stop a lot of like the, you know, very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Toxic environments on like live chats and gaming. Like, you know, a lot of people play Call of Duty on these consoles, and some of the, I mean, just the vitriol between like people talking to each other can be downright disturbing sometimes. Yeah. And so maybe these moderators are there to kind of ensure that these people are not saying things that are racist or things that are like really verbally abusive to people that are playing, to make it more of like a fun environment for everyone, which I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset about, but a lot of people I think will enjoy it because it kind of stops. I'm sure like if this moderator is doing if these moderators, I should say, because you'll need more than one,
for sure,
are doing this thing to kind of like ensure, like, I wonder how that'll work if like they are listening in and someone says like something really terrible about another player or something racial. Like if they send them some kind of like email or something like saying like, hey, like we heard you said this. If you're not careful, like your account will get suspended or
like a ban or something.
Yeah, or a ban from this game or whatever. Yeah, it's a little creepy for sure. But I mean, like, at this point, you know, it is creepy to me. But at the same time, it's like, you know, all of our technology listens in on what we say anyway. At this point, we're just kind of in that environment now in today's world. Yeah. So unfortunately, unless you're like wanting to unplug and be off the grid for the rest of your life, any kind of electronic you have is going to have this type of capability. So it's not that surprising to me. It's definitely creepy, but also in a lot of ways I think it could potentially do a lot of good. Yeah,
the funny thing is it looks like this was sparked because they had a PS4 update, version 8.0, and now when you like, you'll see like notifications that'll say voice chats may be recorded for moderation. Similar like when you call like IT support, it's like, we may be recording your call for quality assurance. So this is kind of funny that they're like doing that now. Which it was just like a matter of time. It's just it's an interesting concept. I guess, you know, people were worried about, are they listening into our party chats and all that kind of stuff, and you know, who knows. They probably aren't, but they might be. But I don't know, man. If you feel like you shouldn't be talking about something, I don't know if you should be talking about it. But
yeah, exactly.
That is another topic for another day on that whole situation. And so, yeah, the Xbox revealed some of their UI. Like Max was saying, it definitely looks very similar to what they have now. Xbox has already been in that card realm. Some stuff is pretty obnoxious to navigate through. Like when you press the Xbox button on the middle, the menu is kind of aggravating on some things. So maybe they've cleaned up some of that.
That'd be hopeful.
Yeah, it would be very nice. It does look like there's some more customization that you can do on the home screen. Xbox really focuses on vertical space for their stuff. So if you go like up and down, you can actually like pin certain games or like categories to like your vertical space, sort of like your phone, like how you can swipe left and right on your phone. Xbox kind of has like a similar vertical.
That's cool.
Vertical usage, and it looks like they, from the video I'm looking right now, which is just from GameSpot, it looks like they still, this is scrolling up and down. So they're still utilizing their kind of like vertical space, where Sony kind of approaches the more horizontal look.
Right.
So it looks like that's still roughly the same. They got some different categories: entertainment, store, community, that sort of jazz. I don't think too many people have complained about Xbox's UI, which is probably why it's about the same.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can mention that we talked about earlier between Max and myself is the UI quick resume, which is
unbelievable. I think it's even more impressive than the PS5.
Oh man, it's wild. So there is a girl, her name is Alana Pierce. I'll make sure to like post her Twitter on here to see it. She has a post on October 14th where she's a Twitch streamer. She's a content creator. She was able to get the Xbox Series X early. And so her video that she has is just a quick minute-long video where she physically shows her Xbox. It's unplugged, everything. It's just right there in her hand. So she plugs it in, she powers it on, and she talks about the quick resume. She clicks on Ori, and it just loads. It takes maybe 3 seconds, and Ori just goes right back where she was left off.
Right.
And that's after the console had been turned off completely from power for more than 24 hours.
Which is wild to me because PlayStation can't do that. At least to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't know if PlayStation 5, if you can unplug it and then plug it back in and your game is still in quick resume.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. It'll be interesting to see, but yeah, it's absolutely amazing that you can do that with the Xbox.
Well, because the one thing, when we talked about the Xbox reveal, the one thing that I mentioned was the cool thing about the S version, the smaller one, I could see that being such a LAN party thing, where if you want to like bring that with you and like play with friends, because you can hook up a mouse and keyboard to it, or just play it with your controller. Like imagine if you and I knew that we were playing like a Call of Duty game together, and instead of just playing online, we wanted to like be in the same place as each other. Maybe we had multiple monitors to play off of.
Right.
If I could just play the game, unplug the console, go to your house, plug it in right where I left off, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy to me. Like you don't have
so
to load
cool.
it up from your start menu. Like it's just that whole conversation of convenience. Like they're making things so much easier, less clicks, just immediately back into the action, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely curious to see more of how Sony's handle it. Again, obviously we can see Xboxes. We think it looks amazing because Sony has already released their Xbox to people. So it's like, that's why we know that it's pretty cool. Well, more will come on how Sony's handling this thing, but definitely a dope feature that I'm glad is within the console realm now. I mean, also, I guess this is showing the power of SSDs versus how they were on HDDs. So
yeah, SSD is so cool, man. I'm so glad they went with those.
Oh yeah, me too. It was like long overdue. So yeah, we talk about these UIs, which is dope. But now we kind of want to take a little bit of turn from the gaming realm and talk about more about entertainment. We talked about this company last time. we talked about them in a very sad way, but it looks like Disney is kind of backing on the news again. And this kind of touches upon what we talked about with the film industry, too, it seems like.
Yeah, kind of what we spoke on last week is when we were talking about how, we're seeing... When we were talking about what is film, what is Hollywood, what are these studios that produce this content going to do now that theaters... for the foreseeable future are not going to be a productive or really a good financial way of going. And so I was saying over the next few weeks, I would not be surprised if we start seeing different avenues that these companies are taking once Regal had announced that they shut down all their theaters again. And so this news came up from Walt Disney again, and Walt Disney announces reorganization to focus on streaming, all on Disney Plus. And so I got this article from TechCrunch, written by Jonathan Schieber. I apologize if I mispronounced his name, but I just wanted to read a little bit of this article, just quote it from that. And basically what they're saying here is on Monday, the company announced a massive reorganization of its media and entertainment business that would focus on developing productions that would debut on its streaming and broadcast services. And so basically what that's saying is this is a major reorganization, which makes sense because we've already seen that they've announced that Soul, the next Pixar movie, is immediately going exclusively to Disney Plus, not coming to theaters, just immediately going to streaming on Christmas Day. And basically they're saying planned theatrical releases of would-be tentpole films like Black Widow have been rescheduled, while other films, including Mulan, Soul, are seeing their first runs on Disney+. And announcing, this is from Bob Chapek, Disney's chief executive officer, the CEO, this reorganization will accelerate our growth in the dynamic direct-to-consumer space, which is key to the future of our company. The new organizational structure with content creation distinct from distribution will enable us to be more effective and nimble in creating what consumers want most and delivering it in the way they prefer to consume it. And so it's just really crazy to see them officially saying, hey, look, we're completely reorganizing our structure outside of probably Marvel. And that might even change if this whole thing keeps going into 2021. But of just saying, hey, like, we're going to focus on our content on Disney+. We're going to get new stuff out there faster. We're going to put a lot of our movies on that system. And it makes sense because Disney Plus right now is their main source of revenue. Like, this is where they're making their big bucks right now because you see they're not making a lot of profit when it comes to their parks. Of course, they're always kind of making profit when it comes to movie sales or like DVD or Blu-ray or, just toys related to Disney. But they really need to kind of step it up when it comes, if they want to keep bringing in the revenue that they want to keep making.
Yeah.
And so seeing them kind of move to Disney Plus again, of just now with like Mandalorian season 2 coming out in a few weeks, of just being like, the fact that we don't have a lot of original content on this subscription service, we need to refocus on that and make it worthwhile for people. And so I think that's really cool. Yeah,
I know they just released Clouds. Have you seen that on there?
Yes.
That was like another Disney original.
Yeah, that's an original movie. I know a little of the story around that guy who, I know he had cancer and he released this single before he passed. It looks really sad.
It does. I haven't watched it because it's too sad.
I'm sure it's an incredible story. The real life, it's based on a real life story. The character, not a character, the person that wrote this song apparently was such an incredible human being, and he changed a lot of people's lives with this song. He really moved a lot of people with it, and so I think I definitely will want to watch it at some point. But
maybe not in 2020.
Maybe not in 2020. It's really hard to watch sad things right now. When life is already heavy enough, for sure. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. It's a very short topic,
definitely.
But I definitely thought that was very, very cool, kind of to see that ripple effect after our kind of talk last week on the theaters.
Yeah, just mentioning it and seeing it go. Yeah, I guess it's a cool thing to see. I don't mind when I get some of it. I think also because it hasn't fully hit if like theaters are just not going to be a thing anymore. So like right now, I'm like kind of welcoming it. It's like, oh yeah, it's pretty convenient because I can't go to a theater, but it would be nice to go back to a theater. And
I want to go back to a theater so bad, dude.
Yeah,
I don't want theaters to die. I know we said that last week, but I have a feeling that the theater space after all this is over is going to be very different from when we began in it. I think that we're going to see a lot more streaming exclusives and stuff like that. Yeah,
Disney, Disney has a lot of power. To hear that Disney is the company that's like hardcore focusing on their streaming thing, it's a big deal for sure. I mean,
yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
because they are literally one of the flagship studios when it comes to film.
Yeah.
And if they have officially announced that they are completely reorganizing their structure on how they're releasing their films and their content, studios across the world are just going to follow suit and just be like, I mean, some already are playing to Netflix. I mean,
Netflix has their own original movies and shows.
I mean, gosh, Martin Scorsese released The Irishman on Netflix, specifically.
So good.
I love Scorsese movies, but like that's a big name. I was like, dude, how would...
Especially the people who he had in it.
Right. I was like, dude, like this is crazy. And like, I haven't seen this movie yet. I want to recommend it, but I can't recommend it until I see it. But I've already seen it's getting like 10s across the board. It's being called Aaron Sorkin's next masterpiece. But The Trial of the Chicago 7 was just released on Netflix yesterday. Highly recommend anyone listening to this go watch this movie. If you've ever seen anything written by Aaron Sorkin, be it West Wing, The Newsroom, The Social Network, like this guy is masterclass with his writing and his character writing. Tyler too, like dude, you have to watch this movie. Like it looks absolutely incredible, and it's just a very timely movie. I feel like with today's world, but based on the true life events of the trial of the Chicago 7 during their protests of the Vietnam War. So yeah.
Streaming services, they're big. Disney's massive. There'll probably be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of changes. Cool. So, more announcements though. We definitely hit up on the new reveals. It's kind of fun. Another new thing that was kind of announced, another small little topic was, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of something called Lightstream. Lightstream's a service that has been around before. And it just allows console players to stream from their console, but it just not look like butt. So whenever you just like press the go live button, maybe on your Xbox or your PlayStation, it just captures the game and then your audio from a headset. But those who maybe have watched Twitch streams or YouTube streams or Facebook streams from someone on a PC, you'll notice that they'll have overlays. They'll have things that pop up on the screen. You might have like recent follower bars. You might have like a chat bar, a webcam box. You'll have all these like fun little things to make the stream look a little bit nicer. Lightstream provides that service from just a console. So if you're just a console player, you don't have a PC, Lightstream is there to help you get these type of overlays. So obviously that's not the new part. The new part, and to me the funny part, is that Lightstream now is working on an Xbox to stream onto Twitch. Why is that funny? Well, because Xbox used to have Mixer, and Mixer flopped. It was awful.
Yeah.
And Mixer was trying to compete with Twitch and be the better Twitch and blah, 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 blah. And they failed, and then they sold themselves, and then like some people lost a bunch of viewership. Some people,
I wonder how much money Mixer got for selling its app.
Oh, it was massive. They made a big, but they sold it for Facebook. What I thought was funny is that now they're like, oh hey, now you can stream onto Twitch from your Xbox using or be able to use the Lightstream integration. And I just think that's so funny, the fact that Xbox and Twitch are like talking to each other again, I guess. Not like the biggest news by no means, but I'll find the price of how much they sold it for. I just thought it was just kind of interesting. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Xbox and Twitch talking again. And I guess I just thought it was funny
bridge, finally.
I know, right? And it was funny because Twitch support Twitter was the one that talked about it too. They were like, "Hey, congratulations, Xbox users! You can now." I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I was like, "Wow, the mashup that I didn't think was going to be happening anytime soon." But so anybody out there that might be listening, and you might, if you're a streamer from your Xbox, it works on your PlayStation as well. But if you're wanting to revamp your stream, Lightstream is a way to be able to do that.
It is a really cool, kind of like what we were speaking on before this podcast. I like the idea that you don't have to be a PC gamer now to really have good overlay for when you want to stream. You can do it right from your console as long as you have your own equipment. Yeah. And the fact that you can now do that through Xbox, through a streaming platform instead of a PC, that's kind of cool. Yeah,
and you can attach external microphones, you can attach external webcams and stuff. You can attach these things like via USB to your console to be able to give you that look and feel.
Now, actually, I just realized, can't you do that already on consoles? Maybe I'm like speaking out of turn. Like, can't you already stream yourself playing on PlayStation 4? Or
yeah. No, you definitely can. It's more of just like the overlays that you get functionality to. Because I think if you just stream from a PlayStation 4 without doing anything, it's just a game. There's not much on there. Okay. And sometimes what helps bring people in is like seeing a webcam, like seeing a person play the game, having like those overlays that'll show, like, this is my most recent follower, this is my most recent donation, this might be the most person that I subbed. It just adds like a flair to the channel that people enjoy. Nice. Just to capture the eyes of people to see it and stuff. So right. So it's cool. So yeah, if you're a console streamer, there you go. Nice and fun stuff there. And then on the more expensive side of things,
as always with iPhones.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, new iPhones were announced, and as you can imagine, they're expensive.
Ridiculously expensive. Especially the iPhone, 12 Pro?
Yeah, so they released 4 iPhones. Oh my god. Well, the iPhone 12 mini, the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro, the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Wow, these words are so much funny to say. And so the cheapest phone is the iPhone 12 mini, which is a 5.4-inch display, which, for any reference, if you guys remember like the iPhone like 6S, I think it's around the same size as that.
I had the 6S for years.
So it's around... Yeah. It's either around it or might be even slightly smaller. It's a small phone.
That's crazy.
And for a 64 gig model, that thing, it starts at $699. And then if you want to get the Mac Daddy, the 12 Pro Max... with like the most storage comes in at $1399.
Oh my god,
dude! These phones are wild.
$1399
for a maxed out Pro Max phone. Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. So you can buy 2 minis or you can get the Pro Max, whichever one you want to do. So yeah, they announced new colors, new processors like they always do. New camera features and whatnot. And the biggest thing nowadays for phones is this whole 5G connectivity. So Apple talked about all their new 5G stuff, which 5G isn't even available everywhere. It's nice to have, I guess, for when it is available more places. I don't know. So that was that whole thing. You have a small phone, you have a larger phone. It's kind of like, what space are you wanting to be in? Right. I don't know. There's a lot I could say about the specs on this thing, but to not go into too much of it, I guess I could just kind of talk about this in an interesting way. Instead of talking about the iPhone 12s in depth about what they are, I can kind of talk about how...
They compare?
Yeah, and like, I'm in the stage right now where I'm wanting to go Android. Mm-hmm. And I know you and Ruthie actually talked about that at one point too, about maybe wanting to go Android, what keeps you here. And like, I'm in a debate now because these phones have always been so expensive, and these like flagship styles of... Flagship just means a phone company puts their best of the best into a phone. And so the Pro Max is Apple's flagship phone. And you see these price tags, and now these companies are like, well, let's make phones that are $500, $400, $700. And I'm usually that $700 range where I like to find the phones that are not... Spot. Yeah, they're not like El Cheapo and have like cut a lot of corners, but they're not flagship where they're like glass and all that kind of crap. And so like right now I'm comparing this new iPhone to like Samsung's phones or like Pixel devices.
Yep.
And it's like, what's my justification? I have an iPhone now for people, and I got the whole suite. It's obnoxious. I hate it, but I got the whole watch and the pods and the Max, and it sucks. And it's like, I want to switch over, and I compare like the Samsung phone to this like Apple phone. And it's like, what? Phones are crazy. Phones are so crazy to me. Like the fact that there's this competition of like, are you an iPhone or are you someone else? And it's like, that's how it always is.
Yeah, you're basically paying for the name. I almost feel like the pricing for Apple phones most of the time is because they can get away with that price. They're literally the top of the top in terms of most famous, used devices. So it's kind of impressive, but it's also, like you said, frustrating. And you're right. Like last year, Ruthie and I literally were thinking about potentially going down the Pixel route.
Yeah.
Because we were so tired of just like having to buy every few years these like $1,000 phones, and we were just like, like at some point, like. But then we started thinking about, well, we have an Apple TV, we have an Apple computer, we have this, we have that. You have an Apple Watch, and it's like they almost keep you in because you have everything else around you.
So aggravating.
Is connected by that Apple name.
Yep.
And now I feel like honestly next time we may have a better chance of leaving the iPhone world. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now we have a PC. We don't have an Apple computer anymore. We don't use Apple TV. We use Chromecast.
Yeah.
We really, other than Ruthie's watch, we honestly use a lot of Google products.
Yeah.
And so it's like, next time, maybe in a few years, we'll finally be at that place where, and maybe Pixel will be at that place where they can provide something, in my personal opinion, that's worth the change.
Yeah.
But you never know. Sometimes you kind of go with what you're used to.
Yeah.
What you know well. And so moving from iPhone to Android is definitely what's the right word I'm looking for? It can be a kind of a lurch, like in terms of UI and in terms of accessibility.
Yeah, it's definitely a big switch, which I guess was what was kind of interesting to me when I saw the new Samsung phones. Like Samsung made a Galaxy. Also, talk about naming conventions. So listen, a Samsung Galaxy S20 Fan Edition. That is the name of the phone. I think it's so funny, Samsung's naming, because they have the Samsung Galaxy S20, S20 Plus, S20 Ultra, S20 Note, and the S20 FE. I've been doing so much research on these stupid phones. And what's interesting though is like, whenever I compare phones, it's always what do you want to get out of it? What's important to you? Do you like RAM? Do you like processors? Some people it doesn't really bother them because they don't notice a difference. Are you big on storage? Some people utilize cloud storage so much that on-phone storage doesn't bother them, but vice versa. Do you watch a lot of movies and like videos on your phone? So do you need a big phone? Does a small one satisfy you? Do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? And I don't know. It's kind of interesting touching upon the phone topic. It is a realm that I kind of hit upon a lot on my free time. So usually when I'm just like kind of chilling and doing research, I do like video game research for sure, but I do spend a lot of time in the tech space looking up PC parts, looking up phones, looking up just like devices and things like that. And so it is kind of fun to kind of brush upon this topic a little bit without derailing too much. But yeah, I definitely am in the space too where I am trying to kind of get off of the Apple products and like try to see if I can shift over to a more Android life because I think I would like it a lot more. But so yeah, iPhone 12s, they got announced. If you have anywhere from $699 to $1399 in your price tag, they come out pre-orders for
Zero.
Who is talking? Oh, it's this person. Sorry, someone was talking on my computer. I think the pre-orders for all of the phones have actually already started, minus the Mini, which I don't know why they did that, but you can pre-order the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max now, but the mini is waiting. Oh, okay, wait, this is actually kind of fun. This is so Apple, and it ticks me off. Okay. Before we hit the last segment, this is so funny to me. So the new iPhones to help reduce waste. Oh, this bothers me so much. So they got rid of the power brick and they got rid of the headphones. And they said, well, so many people have so many power bricks in their house. So many people have so many of these headphones in their house. We're just not going to provide them anymore. So the only thing that comes in your phone now is the phone itself and the cable that it needs, like a lightning cable.
Right.
And the thing that I think is so funny is the lightning cable itself is regular Apple, like, lightning cable. But instead of going to USB 2.0, it goes to USB-C. So what I'm saying that means is, like, they provide you a cable that doesn't technically fit the power brick that you had with your previous iPhones. Now, okay, sure, maybe most people this doesn't affect because you might have a power brick that has a Type-C port to it. But let's just imagine, like, okay, actually this kind of works for you, Max. Like, you've only had the iPhone, right?
Right, yeah.
And so, have you ever had iPads, any new iPads or any, like, new ones? No. Yeah. So the lightning brick you have is that little small thing, right? Little small white thing.
The little small white plug.
That will not work with the cable they provided you in this box.
It's ridiculous.
And, like, sure, I guess your old iPhone cable might work, I would assume. But it's just kind of stupid to me.
Yeah, well...
Like, why did you provide a cable that doesn't fit the brick of the old phone?
I'll guarantee you why they did it. Is that so when you go to the store and buy it, or online, they'll be like, oh, if you're going to buy this, you might as well buy this new USB-C brick.
Yeah, which is so dumb, because that defeats the purpose of waste. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So that was a thing that, I don't know, there's a whole debate. Some people are pro it, some people are against it. Samsung tweeted out their new phones, and they say power brick included just to make fun of Apple. I don't know. There's just some funky stuff going on with
it's
that.
It's very marketing spiel of, like, how do we spin this to make it sound like we're doing it for the environment or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, like, you guys stink.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, they don't. I won't say they completely stink because I actually really enjoy my iPhone, but that is something that's always been very frustrating with iPhone for me. It's just how expensive and how little you really get for the price that you're paying.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe next time we'll be talking about this, I'll probably have a stinking iPhone 12 in my hand.
Yeah, maybe we'll just... I mean, we're part of the problem, honestly. Like, we just keep buying them.
Oh, it sucks. But I think that's all we have as far as, like, our main topics go for the day. Yep. So we talked about Cyberpunk, PS5, Xbox, Disney, Lightstream, and the iPhones. And so now, as always, we kind of want to talk about the games that we are playing. Nothing exciting on my realm. It's the same games. I'm finishing up Night in the Woods.
Nice.
And I was playing some multiplayer games with Julie yesterday, which was fun. We tried out Moving Out. We played some Rocket League. And I think those were the two like kind of like fun party games we were playing on the Xbox, but not really too much to talk about those, I would say. So I'm finishing up Night in the Woods. You can see the streams of that one. And then I should be hopefully finishing it up in one more playthrough, I would think. I was kind of... Whenever I play games, I like to look at the walkthroughs from like a chapter perspective. I try not to look at the names if I can. I just kind of see the numbers. And I... From what I was showing Max, I'm probably like the last third of the game, I would say. So should be finishing up Night in the Woods here soon, which is exciting because it is a good game. But yeah, what are you playing?
So I am also, I know last week I was kind of all over the place, just kind of trying out different games now that I have access to Game Pass on my PC, which is incredible. Honestly, though, I just being the kind of gamer I am, I wanted to focus on one and just play it all the way through. And so I chose Senua's Sacrifice. And it's a short game, honestly. I would say you could beat it in less than 10 hours. But I only have a little bit of time to play here and there. And so I'm currently playing that. I'm literally on the last level, I believe, of Senua's Sacrifice. And it's really good. It's really one of those games that you have to be in the mood for because it's very atmospheric in the dark sense. It's very disturbing. It deals with psychosis and with mental disability and with depression. It is a heavy, heavy game. It's a very beautiful message, though, in the game, because you're playing as this woman named Senua, who is a druid from her Celtic village or whatever. And just a brief synopsis of the game, because I don't think I gave one last week, I don't believe, because I was just kind of touching on all the different games.
I don't think so.
Was that Senua, her husband or her lover, Dillian, is kidnapped, or not kidnapped, killed, I should say, by Norse people. Northmen come to invade their village and bring their Norse gods with them. And so they kill Dillian in a very disturbing manner that Vikings and Northmen did back in the day, in the way of a bloody eagle, I think was the way that they did it. And so, being of Celtic religion and a belief in their own gods, Senua believes he is lost, that his soul is lost to these Norse gods that he was sacrificed to when what happened to her village happens. And so the whole quest of the game that you start on is that you travel to the Norse realm, into their 9 different realms, kind of hitting on into the same area of God of War, where you have the 9 different realms. If you've seen any of the Thor movies in Marvel, you have an idea of what this is about. Norse mythology is honestly my second favorite mythology after Greek, so I really kind of love being in this area. But she travels to Helheim, which is the land of the dead. So you have like Asgard, Midgard, Jotunheim, or Alfheim, like all these different places. And so she has to travel to Helheim to regain Dillian's soul and reclaim it for herself so that she can bring her love back to life. And to do that, you have to defeat and kill Hela, the goddess of death in the Norse mythology. And it is not happy stuff. Like it's very much you're traveling through. It in a lot of ways reminds me of the story of Dante's Inferno. You're literally traveling through ring after ring of just really hellish landscapes. You're fighting Surt, this like fire god. You're fighting an illusion god. I just recently fought Fenrir, which is like this dragon / like monster thing that like guards the gates of Hela, or guards the gates of hell. And so it's very cool to kind of see, because as you're playing through the game, Senua has these voices in her head. With her psychosis, she has many different voices in her head of people that she's known throughout her life that are now dead, that kind of travel with her in her mind. It's very hard for her to focus. And so a lot of the times she looks a little confused, or she looks like she's in a lot of pain, and that's because she's constantly having to listen to these voices, some of them trying to support you, some of them tearing you down. And this game is very much, and if you decide to play this game, I highly recommend playing it with headphones, is because it really has that full 3D effect of like you really can like hear everything that the voices are saying to you. So like if an enemy is behind you and you can't see them because the camera is rooted to your shoulder, one of the voices could just be like behind you, and like you have to quickly dodge before someone like cuts your head off or something like that. And it's really effective in that way. But it's a beautiful story in a lot of ways too, of just handling depression and realizing that that she's strong for being able to get this far on her own, defeating these gods on her own. And she thinks she's only able to do it because of the strength of her love that she constantly calls as like the light of her life, like the one light that she was able to find in her dark life. And kind of what I'm seeing is the trend is that by the end of this game hopefully she finds love for herself, because she has a lot of she's very self-destroying. This is definitely a game meant for people that have dealt with depression and of how to overcome it and to fight through the darkness, how to fight through these evils in your head, in your mind. And as someone who has fought depression in my own life very early on, it's very beautiful to watch and play. It's hard to play because a lot of the psychosis that she's dealing with, I've definitely felt for a small period of my life. But it shows just the love and care that they put into it. And so I've really been enjoying it. And I can't wait to beat it just to see what the ending is going to be.
Yeah, no, it sounds heavy, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's interesting to see that games can kind of take you on these emotional roller coasters, so to speak, and really get you ingrained into like a mental state, which is very interesting. Yeah. So with that being said, though, entertainment recommendations.
This is our final one. Recommendations.
The one that I was trying to think if I had any like entertainment recommendation for like this week, and I'm just gonna recommend what I already talked about, and it's Divinity. I just like
great recommendation.
I don't know. I keep thinking about the game. Maybe it's also because I just started another playthrough again.
Tyler's like, I kind of want to play it now today.
I know. I'm definitely thinking about it, and it's just kind of like, I just really recommend that game. If you're into turn-based, if you're into RPG, if you love like in-depth story with some humor, but also like some pretty serious stuff, like I don't know. And honestly, pick one or two. It doesn't matter. You don't need one to play two and all that kind of stuff. So I recommend the second one. I think they fixed a lot of the stuff from the first one as far as like an experience goes. And the storyline is a little more capturing in the second one than the first one does. The first one's very just kind of like let you loose, and you got to like pick pieces together and figure out what the heck's going on. So I would say maybe start with the second one as my recommendation, but really take either one, whichever one you're feeling. They're both amazing games. You can find them on all platforms. I think they're even both also on the Switch, except maybe the first one isn't on Switch. I can't remember. I know the second one is, but you can find them Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, on Steam or GOG. So I recommend it. They're pretty inexpensive as far as games go. They're not $60 games. I know they came out new at $44, so I would assume the first one's probably around $20 to $30 range, and I think the second one will probably be around $30 to $44 range. So yeah, I recommend that one. That's my recommendation for this week.
That's good. My recommendation is this week, I'm going to recommend a book series. And not only am I going to recommend a book series, but I'm also going to now declare this a new segment that I will do every once in a while when I am recommending a book, to say, this is how I'm going to convince Tyler to start reading this book series. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I hope so. So my entertainment recommendation this week, as I said, is a book series. It is called The First Law Trilogy, written by Joe Abercrombie, who is British. And this is the newest fantasy series that I've been reading through. I'm almost done with the third book in the trilogy. And this series is absolutely incredible. Some of the best character writing I've ever seen in fantasy before. This is grimdark fantasy. So what that means is it is basically the opposite of high fantasy hero's journey kind of style. This is very much a very nihilistic view of the world of fantasy, like very just shades of gray people. There are no heroes here. There are no like truly great people or truly bad people. It's just all people kind of in the middle of it. And a lot of ways that I've noticed as I've been delving into the third book of this series is that it is basically, in my personal opinion, took love and care, like kind of like got their, like, I feel like Joe kind of got his root of what he wanted to write based off of Game of Thrones, which is kind of the first fantasy series, not the first, but definitely the most well-known to kind of go the deconstruction route of the hero's journey and kind of just tell stories of people and taking it to a whole nother level, I feel like. Whereas this is very much more like, ooh, like I don't know if this is going to be a happy ending or like if this is going to be just characters being who they are and just kind of the story ending in a way that's satisfactory, but not in like a happy-go-lucky way. And I feel like I always recommend like really like dark stuff, and like trust me, I'm not like a really dark person. I just, for some reason, I'm really drawn to these like darker stories because I'm like the complete opposite of those. I'm a very like idealistic person, and so I don't know. I like kind of reading stuff that kind of goes against what I normally am. But in these books, there's 3 of them called The Blade Itself. The second book is called Before They Are Hanged, and the third book is called The Last Argument of Kings. This is the first trilogy written by Joe Abercrombie. He's written a lot of other like solo books as well as new trilogies as well, and I'm planning to read all of them after this trilogy. But it's basically a story of just a bunch of different people from different realms of life, all of them with their own faults and issues. But you follow these characters very Game of Thrones style, where every chapter kind of follows the point of view of someone else. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a world where the fantasy of yore, the world before this current time that you're in this story, is over. You're kind of in this realm where things are decaying, things are falling apart. Like the class systems, the governments, the empires of this world are crumbling. The people in them are not smart people. They're not strong people. And so everyone's kind of falling to their base instincts. And so it's very interesting to kind of see the journey that these characters go to. The very first book takes all these different characters that you meet, and it takes an entire book for them all to come together to kind of realize we all need to go on this quest to remake the world, to make it something worthwhile again. But we have our own issues to deal with on the way. But this is a big world within it. But I will say you don't hear a lot about the world, whereas you would in other fantasy where you have maps. Like a lot of these like fantasy books, you have like maps in the beginning pages that it shows you where cities are, where certain locations are, so you can kind of follow along and understand the lore of it. There's plenty of lore, but you really don't see that much of the world. The story of it is very much focused on the characters and watching the evolution of their characters and the changes that they go through. And it's some of honestly, the best character writing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I cannot recommend this series highly enough. You can buy these books off Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. If you like fantasy and you're willing to give Grimdark a try, know that it's not happy-go-lucky, but it is some of the best character writing you will ever experience. Highly recommend it.
Sweet. And as always, we'll make sure to put links to everything that we talked about. So we'll have links to the book series, to the articles that we've talked about. We'll always make sure to have in the descriptions article links or whatever links to be able to get to the places that we've all mentioned. So that hopefully anybody out there that's listening that might be curious, that wants to join in on things, you'll definitely be able to kind of see what we're seeing, so that it's not unknown to people. But I think with that, we're concluding episode 4.
Did you want to plug your stuff real quick?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot the plugs. So on Twitch and... I forgot if Instagram has it or not. I know Twitch and Twitter and I think maybe Instagram are all / Mr. Teenator for me. So you can watch me there. I stream live typically on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays on Twitch. And then on Twitter is where you can follow me to see when I am going live, if there's any other things going on. YouTube as well is Mr. Teenator. And then Instagram, I think it's Mr._Teenator. Links to all that stuff will be in the description, though.
And as you're listening to our podcast on YouTube, if you would be so kind, please go ahead and subscribe. Punch that notification bell so you can find out when our next episodes go live to continue listening with us. As well as give us a like if you so choose, just to help us as we continue on the start of our podcast journey here. But thank you so much.
Yeah, and also, we did make a Twitter for Calling All Nerds. It is calling_nerds. So be sure to go ahead and kind of follow that as well. It's where we're posting whenever we have new podcasts and stuff live. So make sure to check us out on Twitter so you can kind of keep up to date with our podcast as well. Hit those notifications like Max said. And I think with that, that is all I got left.
We bid you adieu.